Read the context. It says, and talking about Noah, it says, and all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle, beast, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land, died. And every living substance, and we talked about that, it wasn't just the people that died that weren't on the ark, it was the plant life. Everything died. Every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle and the creeping things and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark, and the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. And so we know, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it also be in the days of the Son of Man. So before we start, I'm going to just do a little bit of a review. We know that that the Antichrist, the beast, is going to confirm the covenant that Israel has with God for, anybody know how long?
3.5 years?
No, he's going to confirm with many for 1 week. How long's 1 week?
Oh, 1 week is 7 days.
7 years. Okay, so the Antichrist is going to confirm the covenant with many for 7 years, right? Talking about the Israelites. And we know that halfway through that, right, there's some things that are going to start to happen. The first thing is there's going to be war in heaven. And Michael, and we know who Michael is. Michael is the prince that stands for the children of Israel. He restrains evil. Him and his angels are going to fight with the devil and his angels. And there's going to be a place. This is the fifth trumpet. There's no place found in heaven, or there's no place found in heaven for the devil, or the Bible calls him the accuser of the brethren anymore. And so we see the devil is going to be cast out of heaven, and his angels are cast out with him. All right. And then we know that the devil is given the key to the bottomless pit. And when he's cast down, he opens up the bottomless pit. And we know that there a smoke. Now we know the bottomless pit is what? Tell me, y'all know what the bottomless pit is, right?
Hell.
It's hell. So he has a key. He opens the bottomless pit, and smoke comes out of hell, and then these locusts come up, and they have the stings of scorpions, right? And they're able to hurt men for 5 months, except for the ones that are sealed, the 144,000. Okay. And so then we know also that at that point, there's going to be a resurrection. There's going to be a resurrection of believers, Jew and Gentile, and I don't know how many, but it's probably going to be a lot, into the Great Tribulation. But there's also going to be a resurrection of the two witnesses, Moses and Elijah. And we know at that point that Moses and Elijah have power to shut heaven, that guess what? It doesn't rain in their prophecy, which is how long? Does anybody know how long that it doesn't rain?
3.5 years.
Exactly, for 3.5 years. So we know it's going to be a great famine, right? Even to the point when the kings of the east are coming to Armageddon, that the river Euphrates is so, the drought is so bad, the famine is so bad that the river Euphrates is going to be dried up. It says that the cows and all the animals of the field are going to be crying out loud because there's no grass, there's no food. So we know all these things are going to happen, right? So what we're going to do is I'm just going to introduce you to a couple more characters, because we know that the Lamb is Jesus, and we know that the woman is Israel, and we know the man-child is the 144,000, and we know the two witnesses are Moses and Elijah, right? So what I want to do is we're just going to talk a little bit today about the two beasts. The first beast is going to be the Antichrist, and the second beast is going to be the false prophet. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to prove that to you, and I'm going to show you what I believe is going to happen halfway through. Now, so let's look. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast. I'm going to show you in a minute that this is the Antichrist, right? I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And so this is Revelation 13. He's going to introduce you to the first beast, and then he's going to introduce you to the second beast. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to prove to you, this is the false prophet. And I beheld another beast, not this beast here, right? Another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns. So when you look at him, there's going to be something about him. Who's the true lamb?
Jesus.
So he's going to be like a lamb. He's going to appear to the world like a savior, okay?
Right.
But guess who's going to be he's going to speak as who?
Satan is the dragon.
As the dragon, right? Like Satan. So he's going to appear to people like he's like a savior, he's like a Christ. But guess what? In reality, who is speaking through him?
Satan, the devil.
Satan, right?
Yes.
And look what he says. He says, and this second beast, right? He exercised all the power of the who?
First beast.
Before him. So he's going to have all the power of this beast right here. So the false prophet is going to have all the same power that the Antichrist. Now look, and let me show you. So what power does he have? They worship the dragon, which gave power unto who? The beast. So the devil, the dragon, the devil is going to give power to the Antichrist, right? And so what does that tell you? If the dragon gives power to the Antichrist, right? And guess what? And the false prophet, the second beast, has all the power that the first beast had before him. And the first beast received his power from the dragon. What does that tell you?
He's going to have a lot of power.
And he's getting it from where?
Satan.
He's getting it. So if he has all the same power, the false prophet has all the power that the Antichrist has, and the Antichrist gets it from Satan, that means the false prophet will also get his power from who? Satan. From the dragon or the devil, right? So look what it says. This false prophet, so this false prophet has all the power of the Antichrist that came before him. And guess what the false prophet's going to do? He's going to cause the earth and them which dwell therein to do what?
Worship the first beast.
So the false prophet will cause the world to worship the Antichrist. Now, look at this. This is the devil and this is Satan. Remember this is Jesus when he went up into the mountain and he was there for 40 days being tempted of the devil. Now look what Jesus says. Then said Jesus unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt what?
Worship
the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou what? So sometimes worship means not just bow down and worship, but when you serve someone, you are doing what?
You worship.
You're worshiping him. So to worship Christ is to serve Christ, right?
Right.
To worship the devil is to serve the devil, right?
Right.
So when it said, when Jesus tells the devil, thou shalt worship the Lord only and serve him, the false prophet is going to cause the earth and everybody that dwells in the earth to do what?
Worship.
To worship or to serve the Antichrist.
Right.
And so that's something that we need to understand that. Now, so I'm going to show you, okay, he says, now look what it says about the false prophet. He doeth great wonders, so that he, the false prophet, I'm going to show it to you, the false prophet, that he, this is the second beast, he's going to make fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And this second beast, not the Antichrist, but the second beast, he does what?
Deceives them.
He deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do, because where's he receive his power from? The devil. And he's going to deceive everybody in the world by the miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the Antichrist. Okay? Now watch this. The beast was taken, and with him who?
False
The
prophet.
false prophet. So this is going to show you that the false prophet is the second beast. So the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before the beast, and which had what?
Deceive them.
That had received the mark of the beast, right? Look, see, and isn't that what it says up here? He says, he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire to come down from heaven in the earth in the sight of men, and he, guess what he does?
Deceives them.
He deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. And that's exactly what he tells you. He deceives them, right? He deceives them all. And the false prophet does what? He does miracles before the Antichrist. Right. So, and it's through those miracles that the false prophet is going to deceive everybody in the world to the point where they will worship and serve the Antichrist. So did I make that clear? Y'all understand that?
Yes.
Okay. If y'all have questions, ask me. So anyway, he goes on. Let's go down here. So we're going to look at this first beast, okay? And we're going to find out some attributes. We'll get deeper into the beast and the false prophet in a later study, but we're just going to get a basic understanding of the Antichrist and the false prophet. So, and I stood upon the sand of the sea. So we're going to see the first beast, or the Antichrist. And I saw a beast, the Antichrist, rise up out of the sea, having, what it says, 7 heads and what? Okay, so he's got 7 heads and 10 horns. Now look what it says. Upon his horns, and how many horns does he have?
10.
So upon these 10 horns, guess what he has?
10 crowns.
10 crowns. And upon his heads, there's 7 heads. Upon his heads, the name of blasphemy. So we're gonna look and we're gonna see what this means. Okay. So look what he says here. Here is the man which hath wisdom. The 7 heads, because he has what? 7 heads are 7 what?
Mountains.
On which the woman sits. So he just told you something. He told you that this beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns, that the 7 heads represent, guess what?
7 mountains.
7 mountains. And the woman sits on those 7 mountains. Now, we don't have to discuss. We already know who the woman is, right? Who's the woman? Well, he's going to tell you right here. The woman which thou sawest is who?
People of Jerusalem, the great city.
It's Jerusalem. So here's the man. the woman, Jerusalem, sits on the 7 mountains, and the 7 heads are the 7 mountains. Now, when you see the woman sits, look what that word sit means. To exercise authority, right?
Yes.
So the woman, the woman sitteth upon these 7 mountains. And the woman is Jerusalem. And guess what? She has authority, right? Now, watch this. And the woman, Jerusalem, which thou sawest, is that great city which what? Reign. Now, look what reign means. To exercise sovereign power or what?
Authority.
Look what sit means. To exercise what?
Authority.
So when you see the word sit, Jerusalem is sitting. Guess what? It's all he's telling you is Jerusalem is that great city which what?
Reigns.
Reigns or has authority. The woman sitteth. The woman reigns, which shows you that Jerusalem will have what? Power and authority over the world.
Right.
Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Okay. So we know the woman is Jerusalem, and we know that that Jerusalem sits upon what?
7 mountains.
Because it says right here, it says right here that, whoops, that the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. So the woman is Jerusalem, and the woman Jerusalem sits upon the 7 mountains.
Right.
But it also says something else, right? It says the name of blasphemy sits upon the 7 heads. Look what he says here. And I stood upon the sand of the sea. I saw the beast rise up out of the sea, having what? 7 heads. We know those are 7 mountains on which Jerusalem sits. And look what it says. And upon his heads, these 7 mountains, is the name of what?
Blasphemy.
It's the name of blasphemy. Blasphemy. He's talking about Jerusalem. Because who sits upon the heads, the 7 mountains?
The woman.
Jerusalem, right?
Right.
But here he doesn't say it's Jerusalem. He says, guess what's upon the heads?
Name of blasphemy.
So that tells you something about Jerusalem, doesn't it? And the
Right.
woman.
Right.
Blasphemy is an indignity offered to God by words or writing, reproachful, contemptuous, irreverent words uttered impiously against Jehovah. Blasphemy is an injury offered to God by denying that which is due and belonging to him, or attributing to him that which is not agreeable to his nature. And that is why she is called a great whore.
Right.
Okay, so Jerusalem on those heads sits. We know on those 7 heads, Jerusalem, the woman sits. But we also know that guess what's upon those heads?
Crowns.
Or the name of what?
Blasphemy.
The name of blasphemy sits upon the 7 mountains, just like Jerusalem. So that tells you something about the woman is what? The name of blasphemy. So Jerusalem is blasphemy to God.
Right.
And that's what he's going to say. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness and saw a woman sit upon a scarlet beast. And guess what? This woman is what?
Full of blasphemy.
Full of names of blasphemy. So when you read about the beast, you know here, this Antichrist has 7 heads, and the 7 heads are mountains. And upon these heads, which are mountains, is the name of what? Blasphemy, which is who? Who sits upon the 7 mountains? The woman or Jerusalem. And the woman is full of names of what?
Blasphemy.
Blasphemy. Did I complicate that, or do y'all understand that?
That's good.
Okay, so all right. So now we want to look at the second part of the beast, because we just looked at the 7 heads, right? Now we're going to look at the 10 horns. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw the beast, or the Antichrist, rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon his horns, because how many horns are there?
10.
Guess what? Upon those 10 horns are what?
10 crowns.
10 crowns. Now, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw, the Antichrist, was like unto a what?
Leopard.
And his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. So this beast is like, what he says, he's like a leopard, he's like a what?
Bear.
And he's like a what?
Lion.
Lion. So I'm going to show you something. So we're going to go over to Daniel. And Daniel's going to have a vision. And I want you to look at the vision, and I want you to see something. He says, in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a, now look what it says, had a dream and what?
Visions.
So this is going to be the dream and the vision. This is not going to be the interpretation. This is just going to be the dream and the vision, right?
Yes.
So he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. And guess what? 4 great beasts came up from what?
Sea.
The sea. Now, what I'm going to tell you is that we're going to talk about these 4 great beasts, but not right now. When we get to the seals, we're going to talk about these 4 beasts. Because this says 4 great beasts come up from the sea. But when you go up to Revelation, guess what I saw? And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and does it say he saw 4 great beasts come up?
No, a beast.
He just sees 1 beast, right? So but what I'm gonna show you is that these are kings or kingdoms that are going to come up out of the earth.
Right.
So he sees 4 great beasts come up from the sea, diverse one from another. And guess what? The first was like a what?
Lion.
And guess what the second one's like?
A bear.
And the third one's like a what?
Leopard.
Do you recognize them? Because look, a leopard, a bear, and a what?
Lion.
A lion. The difference is this is 1 beast, and these are what?
4.
4 beasts. Now, we're not going to get into explaining what this means today, but what I want you to see is there are going to be 4 great beasts come up. And one's a lion, one's like a bear, one's like a leopard. What we're going to do is we're going to concentrate. I'm going to show you that the 4th one right here, this 4th beast, is this beast right here. Okay? So this beast that you saw rise up is, I'm going to show you that the 4th beast. And now look what it says. After this I beheld, and lo, another, I'm sorry, whoops, wrong place. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, guess what?
Beast.
A 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. So it's different than the lion and the bear and the leopard, right? It's diverse. But look at the quality of it. And it had what? 10 horns. And so look at this one up here. I saw a beast. It had 7 heads and what?
10 horns.
So he's trying to show you that this 4th beast is this one right here.
Right.
Okay? Now I'm going to even give you more evidence for that. So what we just read was a dream and what?
Visions.
A vision. So when you go farther down in Daniel, he's going to give you the interpretation. This isn't the dream. This is the actual interpretation of the dream.
Right.
I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. That's what we want to know. We want to know the truth of all these.
Right.
So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. Now look what he says about these four beasts. These great beasts, which are four, he tells you what they are what?
4 kings.
Which have already risen out of the earth, right?
They shall arise.
They shall arise. Now that's important because what a lot of people try to do is say that the first four kingdoms, Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, and Rome, they try to tell you that those four kingdoms, this was fulfilled in that. But the problem is when he is writing, he's writing in the first year of Belshazzar. In other words, this is Nebuchadnezzar's son.
Right.
Nebuchadnezzar is dead. He's no longer living, right? So they've been in Babylon for quite a while. And the problem with that is these great beasts, which are four kings, which what?
Shall arise.
See, so you can't say that one of these is the original Babylon because he's telling you that they haven't risen yet.
Right.
And then not only does he tell you that, he lets you know that these four beasts are going to be at the end of the world. You know how you know that? Because look what he says. But the saints of the Most High shall what? Take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So if these four kingdoms have already passed, then guess what we should be doing right now? We should already be living forever and ever in the kingdom of God. The saints of the Most High should have already what? Taken the world.
Right.
So these are four kings that shall what?
Rise.
Shall arise. Now, I'll tell you that I believe that the first one has. But like I said, when we get to the first four seals, we'll talk about that. He says, but the saints of the Most High are going to take and possess the kingdom. Now look what he says. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. So he's talking about the fourth beast. He's talking about the beast that rises from the sea, the Antichrist, right? And of the what? The 10 horns that were in his head, right? So what does it mean, the 10 horns that were in his head? He's talking about, I'm going to show you right here, the 10 horns out of this what? Kingdom. So when he says the 10 horns that were in his head, we saw him rise up having 7 heads. He just told you something. Those heads represent something. So he's talking about the fourth beast is the same beast right here. Right here. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up. This is the Antichrist. Has 7 heads and 10 horns, and on those 10 horns are 10 crowns. He tells you that in Revelation, and then he tells you in the interpretation of Daniel. Right here, he says. And, okay. So the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms. And you know what this fourth kingdom is going to do? This is the Antichrist kingdom here. And he shall devour the what? The whole earth, and he shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns, see, we know it's the fourth beast because he rises up having 7 heads and what? 10 horns. So this Antichrist has 10 horns out of this. So 10 horns out of this kingdom, or out of the Antichrist kingdom. He tells you what these 10 horns represent. They are what?
Kings.
They're 10 kings. Now, should that not make sense to you? Because look, the beast has 7 heads, 10 horns, and upon his horns, his 10 horns are what?
10 crowns.
10 crowns. So that tells you something. What does a crown, when you see a crown, what does that represent?
A ruler.
Or
kingdom.
The 10 horns out of this kingdom are what?
10 kings.
King.
So the crowns represent what? What?
10 kings.
Kings. So when you see a crown, you know that it represents a king and his kingdom, okay? So anyway, and guess what? And it says, another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and he's going to wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand. Whose hand? The 4th beast.
Right.
They're going to be given into his hand for how long?
3.5 years.
So we know it's the Antichrist. This is the last 3.5 years. This is the 4th. The 4th beast shall be the what?
4th kingdom.
So guys, so what we should expect in the last day is 4 kingdoms. And the 4th kingdom, and I'm gonna show you soon that that's the 4th seal. The 4th kingdom that's going to arise is the Antichrist, going to be the Antichrist kingdom, and it's going to devour the whole earth, and he's going to have 10 kings, which are going to give their power and their strength unto him. Okay? He says, but the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven, guess what? It's going to be taken from the Antichrist. It's going to be taken from the devil and shall be given to who?
The people of the saints.
Of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom. So this 4th beast right here is this beast right here. The beast in Daniel, that is the 4th beast, is the beast right here that rises up having 10 horns, and on those 10 horns are 10 crowns. He tells you in Daniel that the 10 horns are what?
Crown.
Or 10 kings, right? The 10 crowns on the 10 horns represent 10 kings. He's also going to tell you that in Revelation, not just in Daniel. He says the 10 horns which thou sawest are what?
10 kings.
10 kings. So just like in Daniel, he says the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings. He tells you in Revelation that the 10 horns are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but they're going to receive power as kings 1 hour with the Antichrist. So these 10 kings are going to have power and get to reign with the Antichrist, and they're going to give their power and their strength to the Antichrist. Okay? So we know here, right here, the 10 horns are 10 kings, and when you see crowns, they represent what?
Kings.
Kings. Now that's important, guys. Remember this right here. If you see crowns, they represent kings, right? Because guess what? He says right here, right? Look, the 10 horns, upon his 10 horns are what? Are 10 crowns. So remember this, because I'm getting ready to show you something. When you see crowns, they're kings.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Here's the Antichrist. Hold on one second. All right. I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horn 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast, the Antichrist, which I saw, he was like the leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the devil gave him his what?
Power.
So the devil's going to give him his power, his seat, which is his throne, and what?
Great authority.
Great authority. So he's going to have power over the whole earth. Now, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Now, what it says? They worshiped the devil, which gave what?
Power unto the beast.
To the beast. Now, we already know that the second beast has what? The same power as the first beast. And so we know both of these have power, and their power comes from who?
The dragon, the
The
Satan.
dragon gave him his power, right?
Yes.
And it goes, and they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him, the beast, or the Antichrist, a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemy. And guess what? The devil gave him power. Power was given unto the beast, or to the Antichrist, to continue 3.5 years.
Right.
And this beast, the Antichrist, opens his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell therein, or dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him, the beast, or the Antichrist, to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And guess what? Power was given him, right, over all kindreds and tongues, and guess what?
Nations.
So the devil is going to give him power, and the devil's going to possess him. We understand that. So the beast, the Antichrist, will have power over the whole what?
Whole world, all the nations.
And isn't that what he says up here? He shall what? Devour. I forget where it's at here.
There it is.
He says he shall devour the whole earth. So he's going to have power over the whole earth for how long? 3.5 years. And now look what he says. And all that dwell upon the earth shall what?
Worship him.
What did Christ tell the devil? Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God only, and him shalt thou serve.
Yes.
But these people that dwell in the earth, other than those whose names are not, these are those whose names are not written in the book of life of Lamb, slain from the. So if your name's written in it, you're not going to do it.
Right.
But for the most part, all that dwell upon the earth are going to do what?
Worship him.
And I say, how in the world is the devil going to convince believers that are in the world to worship the Antichrist? And I'm going to show you, okay?
Deception.
I'm going to show you how he's going to do it, because he said if it were possible, even the very elect should be what?
Deceived.
Deceived. God's going to, he says, I'm going to send a strong delusion that they should believe a lie. And so this is important to understand, guys, if you find yourself there, all right? Because what the devil is going to do is he tries to imitate Christ.
Right.
Because we see it, right? Because what does he say about the false prophet? He looks like a lamb, but he speaks as a dragon.
Right.
So he says he's able to do what? Miracles in the sight of the entire world, in sight of the beast, right?
Right.
So when think about Jannes and Jambres, y'all remember that Moses and Aaron went before Pharaoh, and guess what? They would do certain miracles, and guess what Pharaoh's magicians could do?
Do the same thing.
Could do some of the same. Now, they couldn't do everything, but they could do some of those. And so guess what? God uses that to deceive, to harden Pharaoh's heart.
Right.
Because when Moses threw his staff down and it turned into a snake, guess what? Pharaoh's magicians did the same thing.
Right.
And so what happens is when you see the false prophet do some of these miracles, right? The world, believers, are
Right.
going to be deceived.
Right.
So if you don't understand what's going on at this time, then you can be deceived. So let's see what's going to happen. I told you this Bible study is going to be short, but this one event, I believe, is going to deceive most of the believers in the world to following and worshiping after the Antichrist. So let's look at the Antichrist. I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast, here he is, rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now watch this. And I saw one. Now, when he says one, that implies there's more than one. I saw one of his heads. That implies there's more than one.
One head.
There's more than one. So I just saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, right? Now, here's the problem. When we go back up here, guys, look what it says. The beast has 7 heads, right?
Right.
But we've already learned, and let me show you, we've already learned what the heads represent. The 7 heads are what?
7 mountains.
7 mountains. What? Because on the beast, look on the beast. He says on the beast, watch. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, but the crowns are on the what? So the kings, the 10 horns represent 10 kings, but the 7 heads represent 7 mountains, right? And so when you get down here, and he says, I saw one of the heads as it were wounded to death. If he's talking about the beast, it means one of the mountains was what? Remember, because the beast has what? The beast has 7 heads. And I saw one of his heads. So one of the mountains are wounded to death.
Right.
Does that make sense? Okay, and the deadly wound of the mountain was healed, and all the world wondered after that mountain. Does that make sense? Y'all need me to slow down?
No.
Okay, look at it. The beast has 7 heads, 10 horns. We know that the 10 horns, because they have 10 crowns, and the scripture tells us those are kings, right?
Right.
But he doesn't say one of the horns is wounded to death. He says one of the what? Heads. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. Does it make sense to say one of the mountains is wounded to death, and the deadly wound that the mountain had was healed, and the world wondered after the beast? Does that make sense to y'all? Yes or no? It doesn't make sense, does it?
No, to wound the mountain.
That's what I'm just asking you. It's not a trick question. It doesn't make sense that one of the mountains is wounded to death, right? So I believe he's talking about something else. Now let's look. Let's look at the devil. Because the devil, there's another. There appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, the devil, the great red dragon. Now look what he says. He has 7, just like the beast. Because when you look at one, you see the other, right?
Right.
They both have 7 heads and 10 horns. What did Jesus say about I and my Father are what? We're one. Well, guess what? This is the devil. This is the Antichrist. He could literally say that the Antichrist could say, I and my Father are one, because who's inside of the Antichrist?
Satan.
So when you look at the devil, or when you look at the Antichrist, you see 7 heads and 10 horns. When you look at the devil, guess what you see? It's the same person, right? So when you look at one, you see the other. They both have 7 heads and 10 horns. But remember, these are symbolic. And on the beast, the crowns were upon the what? Remember? Yeah, right here. And upon his 10 horns are 10 crowns, but not upon the devil. Look what it says. He's got 7 heads. And guess what? 7 crowns upon his what? So what do crowns represent?
Kings.
Kings. So the devil on his head has those 7 heads equal what?
7.
7 kings. So I saw one of his heads. So you think he's talking about the beast or about talking about the devil?
The devil.
The devil. So he sees one of the devils. So I believe that there's 7 kings that the devil is going to use, and I believe one of those kings is the Antichrist.
Right.
So when he says, I saw one of his heads, he's talking about the devil's heads. He's talking about what? One of the 7 kings. And he saw that head as it were what?
Wounded.
And that's what we're going to look at. So the devil, I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to what?
Death.
So here's what I think is going to happen, guys. And when I give you this, I'm hoping that the Lord opens more up to me, but I'm going to tell you what I think happens. I believe that the devil is going to or not the devil, the beast, the Antichrist, is going to confirm the covenant with Israel for 7 years. Okay? And halfway through that 7 years, I think something is going to happen to the Antichrist. I think that he is going to be what?
Wounded.
He's going to die. He's going to be wounded to death. And what I think is his deadly wound was what?
Healed.
So I believe that he's going to die, and he's going to be just like Satan, just like Jesus. Satan is going to try and deceive the world. He's going to allow the devil to resurrect the Antichrist. And his deadly wound was healed. And guess what all the world's going to do when they see him rise from the dead?
They wonder.
All the world did what?
Wondered.
Wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast. Why would they worship him? Why would they wonder after him? Think about what happened remember when they first told everybody when Jesus was crucified? Remember when they went to the tomb and he wasn't there?
Right.
They were all what? They were all like amazed. They didn't know what was going on.
Wonder where he was.
Yeah. They just, they were just all kind of confused. They all wondered, right? And I believe that's the same thing that's going to happen. Is the world, they're going to do this, the devil's going to do this in the sight of the entire world. And when they see it, he's going to be the same. Who can make war with him? This man was dead, and guess what? He's alive now. Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? They're going to completely and totally trust upon him, even to the point when they see Jesus coming out of the sky with his army. All the armies of the world are going to gather together to make war with the Lamb and his army.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to worship him. They're going to follow after him. And they're going to do it because he was dead and now he's resurrected. And it says, there was given unto him, this beast, a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue for 3.5 years. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war, right? Because who's able to what? Make war with him. But it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, right? And so that's what we're going to see. I believe what we're going to see is halfway through that 7 years, I believe that the Antichrist will die. Okay? And here's what I think is going to happen. I think that halfway through that 7 years, right, the 5th angel is going to sound. And who's the star that falls from heaven, guys?
Satan.
Satan. He's cast out. Michael cast him out. There's no more place in heaven for him. He's cast down knowing he's got a short time, right?
Right.
Look what Antichrist means. It means against, opposite, contrary, but it also can mean what?
Place.
So.
In the place of. He is going to be in the place of Christ. He is going, everybody in the world is going to look at him as a savior. Even though he is the opposite, he's contrary, he speaks against God, he is going to be the world's savior. And when they see him resurrected, they are going to wonder after him. They're going to follow after him. And so when Satan is cast out, right, Satan is given the key of what's the bottomless pit? Hell, right?
Yes.
And he's going to open up the bottomless pit. And I'm going to tell you who's going to be in the bottomless pit. The beast.
Yes.
And I'm going to show it to you. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast, that what?
Send it out of the bottomless pit.
So I believe he dies. He's in the bottomless pit, right? Now, his body they may have his body set somewhere in a, I don't know, maybe in the temple. I don't know. But his body, I think they're going to have it. And then when the devil opens up that bottomless pit, he's going to give life. That beast is going to ascend out of the bottomless pit, and that beast that was dead is now going to be alive. The Antichrist is going to be dead and alive. Now watch what it says. He says, and I beheld, this is the false prophet, I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. He exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, who's what?
Deadly wound was healed.
So when this second beast comes, this false prophet comes, he's going to cause the earth to worship the Antichrist, who was killed, and his deadly wound was healed. And we know because he is the beast that does what?
Sends out the bottomless pit.
And I think that when he opens that bottomless pit, because guess what? He has to have a key to open it, right?
Right.
So I think that the beast is there, and he comes down after the beast is killed, and he opens the bottomless pit, and the Antichrist is resurrected. Now watch. And I saw the woman, here's Jerusalem, drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw Jerusalem, right, I what?
Wondered.
I wondered. Is that not what he said up here, right? He says, where is it? And all the world wondered. And I think that that's what's going to happen. The world is going to be hypnotized by the Antichrist and by the devil.
Right.
He says, and I wondered with great admiration, and the angel said unto me, why are you marveling, John? Guess what I'm going to do, John? And this angel says, I will tell you, John, the mystery of the woman. And we already know who the woman is, right? It's Jerusalem.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you the mystery of the woman, and I'm going to tell you the mystery of who?
The beast, Satan.
The beast that carries the woman, the man that is going to carry Jerusalem. Now, look what it says, the beast which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. So we know this is the Antichrist. The beast that thou sawest was alive, and what?
Yes.
Is not anymore, and shall what?
Sin
Out of the bottomless pit, and go up into perdition. And guess what? And they that dwell on the earth shall what?
Wonder.
Wonder. Is that not what he said? They're
Yes.
going to wonder whose names are not written in the book of life. Now, you already know this is going to happen. So you don't need to be deceived, do you?
No.
So if you are here and you see this man die, and then you see him resurrected, most of the world is just going to fall right in line. But most of the world is going to wonder, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast, that what?
That was.
But he was alive and he is not, but guess what?
Yes.
Yet he is alive, right?
Yes.
Here is the mind which hath wisdom. He's going to tell you. And I'm studying this, so hopefully I'll have an answer for y'all soon. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits, and there are 7 kings. He's going to give you a hint so you will know in advance who the Antichrist is. And I think this is directly connected to Daniel 11, and we're not going to get into it because it's one of the most complicated, to me, it's like the most complicated prophecy, Daniel 11, in the entire Bible. But I think God's beginning to show me. There are 7 kings. Okay? 5 of those 7 are what? Are fallen. They're dead. And 1 is. So that's the 6th one, right? And the other one, the 7th one, he's not come yet. But when he does come, he's going to continue how long? So he's not going to be here long. And the beast, the Antichrist that was and is not, he is the what? So so if you know who the first 7 kings are, you're going to know who the 8th one is.
Yes.
It's going to be the Antichrist, the one that was alive and is not alive and died, and yet guess what? He is. And he's going to do what? He's going to ascend out of the bottomless pit, and he's going to make war against the saints, and he's going to overcome them and what?
Kill.
And kill them. And so anyway, guys,